This week I finished reading The Melancholy of Resistance by Laszlo Krasznahorkai. Um, quick note on pronunciation of the author's name and the names of the characters. So the SZ in Hungarian sounds like S, and then an S by itself in Hungarian sounds like Sh. If you're familiar with Polish orthography, it's the opposite of Polish for those two sounds. And then the AI at the end of his name is I recently learned is not a diphthong. It's two separate syllables. It's not I, it's IE. So gonna try to pronounce that way. But anyways, Krasznahorkai was this year's winner of the Nobel Prize in Literature. Um, as you can see from the fake sticker, the non-removable sticker on this print-on-demand edition that I got of the book because the traditional print runs all sold out right after he won the prize. But anyways, I bought this book right after I heard he won the Nobel Prize because he had been on my TBR for a while. A couple of his books had been on my TBR, and then he won the prize, and I was like, okay, I should get around to reading him. Um, I started with this one, and then I also bought one of his other books, Satan Tango. Those two are the ones that people typically recommend starting with, and both of them have film adaptations by Bella Tarr. And most of Tarr's other movies are co-written by Laszlo Krasznahorkai, but only those two are adaptations of Krasznahorkai's books. Um, but anyways, started with this one. Um, And like around the time I was halfway through, I was loving it and I knew I was going to want to start Satan Tango immediately after finishing this. So I ordered Satan Tango. And I did end up starting that as soon as I finished this. So I'm like, I don't know, like 30 or 40 pages into that as I'm sitting down to talk about this book. So I'll probably be talking about that one as well soon. But yeah, I love this. Krasznahorkai is known for really long sentences. He also doesn't really believe in paragraph breaks. But yeah, just very long sentences. He's got one novel and then I think one of his novellas as well, where the entire book is one sentence. There's only one period at the end of the book. Um, so I was a little intimidated going into that, and like visually the like without the paragraph breaks, like this is what the pages look like. Like and like the in terms of the sentence length, this is the first page of the book. I think there's three periods on this page. This entire page is only actually there might only be two periods. I think this is like I think the period of the third sentence happens somewhere around here, I want to say. Uh, but yeah, I was a little intimidated by that, but I feel like the sentences are formulated in such a way, and this I would imagine this is credit to his translator as well, George Sirtash. Yeah, George Sirtash. Um, the sentences are formulated in such a way that you kind of feel yourself being carried from one clause to the next. It didn't end up being that difficult to read at all, honestly. Um, I don't know. The one difficulty in it is it is kind of hard to find a stopping point if you need to put the book down for a minute and you're not at a chapter break because that's the only time that there is an obvious place to stop. If you're not at a chapter break, you're not anywhere close to a chapter break, and you have to put the book down to go and do something that's time sensitive, um, it can be a little difficult to come back to it then and like find your place. But on the other hand, it does have this effect of kind of like sucking you into the story, just in terms of the momentum of being in these sentences, and also visually, the not having any paragraph breaks. It's like I feel like I'm falling down a hole, a tunnel, like the scene in Alice in Wonderland where she's falling down the rabbit hole and it's like taking forever and she's just kind of like sitting there, but it's like the walls of the tunnel are text that I'm reading. Um, oh, my cat is about to make an appearance, I think. But yeah, I felt like I was being carried along really well, and it was not difficult to read these sentences. So that was cool. And then the other thing I had heard about his books before going into this was that a lot of his books, but particularly this sort of loose quadrilogy of books that consists of this book, Satan Tango, War and War, and Baron Venkheim's Homecoming, are sort of about feelings of apocalypse, maybe not a literal apocalypse, but sort of apocalyptic moods, and characters feeling as though they're living through an apocalypse and how different characters react to that. Um, and I did find that in this book, and I am finding it in Satan Tango so far. Um, and that's an interesting concept to to build your stories around, and how different characters kind of navigate that. So yeah, that's another thing I was told about his books before going in, and I ended up enjoying that as well. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of hard to formulate my thoughts about this book because there's that momentum, like I was saying with the sentences, but then I get to the end and it's like it's hard to conceptualize like the sequence of the story, but I don't know what. So one thing I noticed in this book is that there's a lot of characters who seem to be kind of like stuck in terms of like um things aren't progressing for them. Um but then there's also this recurring concept of like circular movement, as if the movement of the planets, and that's explicitly the planets are explicitly talked about in a scene early on in the book, but then I feel like that idea is there throughout. Um, but sorry, cats are talking to me. Um, but yeah, I guess so I'll talk a little bit about the plot. The book takes place in a small town in rural Hungary, as many of Laszlo Krasznahorkai's books do, and as many of Bellatar's films do. Uh, but at the start of the book, this circus arrives in town, and the circus has a taxidermied whale as their main attraction. Um, and the people in this town are very worried about the circus because there's this huge crowd of people that has come with the circus, and there's debate about what this means and what these people are going to do, and are they bandits? Are they ruffians? Are they going to mess up our town? Um, and our main characters are this woman, Mrs. Esther, who we learn early on she actually invited the circus to town as part of her plan to kind of manufacture some chaos and use that to take over the town. We also have her estranged husband, um, Mr. Esther, who he has spent the last several years or maybe even decades. I'm not remembering exactly how long, but he spent a lot of time just kind of shut into his house, not really going out much, and in fact, spending most of his time laying down in bed. He's kind of renounced the outside world, but he has one person he still talks to, which is our other main character, um, Janos Volushka, who's a young man, and Volushka's mother is also actually the main character of the first chapter of the book. And then she shows up here and there throughout the rest of the book. But anyways, Volushka, he's a young man that everybody in the town kind of thinks of him as a fool, but they like him. He's very likable. He's very entertaining. They like to hear him talk, but they think he's just kind of an idiot. But Mr. Esther really has more of a bond with him, and he talks to him a lot. And Volushka is kind of a follower of Mr. Esther's philosophy of the world. Um, so those are our three major characters that we stick with throughout the bulk of the book. Um, and yeah, I think there's yeah, the what I was saying about how there's this recurring idea of either people being in a circular motion of like revolving around something, or people being kind of stuck. I think that relates to all three of those characters in different ways. Um, Mrs. Esther, I guess, would be the one who's not stuck because she's creating this chaotic situation and then using it to climb the sort of social slash political ladder. And then Mr. Esther, obviously, he's kind of been shut into his house for a long time, not doing anything, not going anywhere. And then we have Volushka, who he has this route that he walks every night around the town. Um, which I wish there was like a map so I could see if that route is circular, because I think that would be like thematically poignant if it was. But he's walking the same route every night, so there's something to that maybe. Um, Sorry, my voice is a little messed up. I'm coming out of a bit of a cold or flu or something over the past few days. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's like I said, it's hard to put together my thoughts about this book, but I liked it a lot. I did like the writing style, despite the fact that I thought I would struggle with it. I didn't struggle at all. I actually found it very enjoyable. Um, and yeah, if I enjoy Satan Tango as much as I enjoyed The Melancholy of Resistance, I think I am gonna just dive deeper into his work. I'm gonna try to read. Honestly, I really want to read everything he has that's available in English, and then I might also end up reading. He has one book that has not been translated into English, but it has been translated into German, which I can read fairly well. So I might read that one as well. Um, and then maybe I'll do like a bigger video talking about his work as a whole. Um, but yeah, trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to say about this. Um, Yeah, I don't know if this book sounds at all interesting to you, if Laszlo Krasznahorkai sounds interesting at all to you, but you're worried about the long sentences and not having paragraph breaks, I would say don't worry about that because it's really not as bad as it sounds. I actually liked it a lot. Uh, and yeah, I'll be reading some more of his work very soon. I mean, I already am reading one of his other books, and then I'm probably going to read more after that. So, yeah.